everyone, welcome back to another little card making video tutorial, and thank you for coming back anyway. And if you're new here, then welcome. It's nice to be growing this again, because I used to do loads years ago and then I sort of stopped for a while, but I'm getting back into this and I'm really enjoying it, so I hope you are too. So this one is showing you some of the Julie Hickey new bits, which is a happy profile die set, which I just love. It's brilliant for masculine cards. I struggle like crazy to make masculine cards. But yeah, it's perfect for that. It's perfect for feminine as well, but it's really good for masculine. And I'm also going to use her Everyday Sentiment stamp set. Again, there's like Father's Day in there. So again, it's good for masculine as well. But that's just so that I can put a little birthday on there. So let me just move that aside a moment. I've also used the Tailored Expressions embossing folder. We're all getting back into embossing folders. I don't know if you are. I am, and I know a lot of people are. And this one's a little cross stitch pattern. So because I have to change out my big shot for the plates, etc., I just went ahead and did this. And I'm never sure what these show up like on camera. So one side you've got embossed where it's raised, and the other side you'll get debossed where it's sort of pushed into it. Both sides are just as beautiful as one another. With the embossed side, you could go in with an ink and go over it and then just get that ink on top, and then you'll still have the white through there if you're gentle enough. Obviously, if you're heavy-handed, you won't. So yeah, that's that Tailored Expressions one. And it embosses beautifully, absolutely beautifully. So I've gone ahead and done that. I'm also, and do you know what, I'm trying to think what I called this as a trio. This came out, I done these colours quite a few years ago, and they came out as a trio. And the way WOW works is that if you do a trio, it's there for a year, only available as a trio. Then after a year, they come out as individual colours, and these are all now available as individuals. And you've got Montserrat, Dominica and Bahama. They're absolutely stunning. Well, do you know what? I was going to show you in here. I'll just go like that. But I can go one better because they're all on here as well. So obviously the colours are just beautiful. They've got a sparkle in them as well. And then they've got some ultra high white in there as well, which just gives it that little bit of difference. Stop it from being just completely plain. They're just yummy. They're absolutely beautiful. So I thought I'd do this card and then I'll show you another little trick. I've done a couple of other cards with this die. Oh, and I'm going to use Julie's new star glosses. Let me just tap that down a bit. There we go. So she's got two lots of glosses just come out. Excuse me. Two lots of glosses to come out that are stars. And you've got Berrylicious, all these beautiful pinks and lilacs, etc. And then my favourite, obviously, because of the colours, is Ocean. And they're just beautiful. And I've just used 3 on this card here. So I'm doing this just slightly different. I don't think I've gone and got myself a base card. I'm going to go and grab myself that. And then I'm going to get cracking on this, and then I'll show you the other 2 and then things that we can do with the die as well. Okay, I'll be back in a minute. And I'm back. Okay, so I just went and got myself a piece of the WOW Superior Smooth White cardstock. Just love this stuff. It's a 250 GSM. It's perfect for card bases. It's what I use to do all my embossing with. I've also used it with this dry embossing as well. I've just made this one a little bit smaller than this. And I get 2 cards out of one sheet because I'll take an A4 sheet and I literally cut it straight down the middle at 10.5 centimetres. And then I get 2 lovely 10-fold. I do like 10-fold Probably because when I go to shows, I like to stick them to the wall. And if you stick them to the wall that way, they're not going to sit and do this and flap open. So it just works better. So yeah, so this one has just been cut a little bit smaller. So let me just put those aside. And then we're going to need 3 pieces of just scrap cardstock. And I want to make sure, let me just take my happy die. I'm not using the shadow bit. It comes with a solid and a shadow. I'll show you that a little bit later. I'm just using the solid for the minute, and I'm just going to go in and just cut 3 strips. Nothing fancy. And then just cut that bit off there. Okay, I'm going to use my favourite technique, which is applying embossing ink with a brayer. I love working with brayers. This is a woodware one, or I use these lovely little mini brayers. One thing I will say, she says, practice what you preach, keep them clean. So I want to make sure that's got no bits on it. And because I'm just working with a small bit, I'm just going to use one of these Ranger mini ones. And they're just super cool. I love them. Okay, so I am going to do 1 in each colour. So let me just move all this out of the way. I'm going to grab, she says, a bit of scrap paper, and I've got my ink pad, and I'm just going to go in and start loading my brayer up with ink. Just move those ones out of the way, and then I'm just going to, oh look, see, I've still got little bits of stuff on there, but that's okay. It's not like we're using a translucent or anything. You can see it's on there. So it's always a good idea to give them a nice little wash afterwards. Oh, one other thing. When you're using powders like this, give them a really good shake before you start. Mix that all up. So I'm just going to flip this bit of paper over because I've got ink on there. And then I start off the card and then I just gradually come onto it, rather than just going like that. It makes a difference, it really does, when you actually get your powder on. You just you tend to get it more evenly distributed because you're like shaking it into there. Okay, so I'm flicking that off. I'll get that one back in there. This one's called Bahama. And then I'll flick it back to the wet ink side. And I will do the next one. So same thing. I'm just going to do this with all 3 colours. Okay. So the first one I used was Bahama. Then I used Dominica. And then I used Montserrat. So now I'm going to heat set these. I'm going to heat them from underneath. So I'm just going to do one side away from my fingers. If I had a pair of tweezers, which I did have a pair somewhere. Let's have a look. Ooh, let's have a look. I don't know whether these are any good, these ones. Okay. Oh, I've just remembered what the trio was called. It was Caribbean Charm. Remembered that. Okay, so we want to make sure that these are nice and cool before we go ahead and put our dye on there. You can use, she says, desperately looking around, I know there's some over the back there, but you can use what's it called, parchment paper, just to put in between, or even a wax paper, just so that it goes in between the dye and that, and then it stops that sticking to it. So that works really, really well. I'm just grabbing, I'm not going to grab one of them, but I also want to do, where are we? Funky foam. So it gives it a nice raise without me having to go and put on loads of tiny little bits of foam pads. So I'm just grabbing myself that, ready to die cut some of that. So this is nice and cool now. Let's just make a start on this. And my poor old plate has really seen better days. Probably not going to like it at all. And if anyone wants to know, this is a precision plate. It shouldn't be marked like this, but I've got it all. I need to give it a really good clean. But basically it's a precision plate by Sizzix, and it's for like intricate dies. It's fabulous. It really is good. And this Big Shot fold away has got really good pressure. Really, really good. Oops, it's just... But I haven't stuck it down to my base, as you can tell. Okay, so let's just pop those bits out. So can you see how it's like it's stuck in there? And I did bring the pokey tool. And then that's why they have all these little release dots. But I will go and grab a piece of wax paper just so that you can see the difference, how it comes out a lot easier. So it's come out all right, but it was stuck in there. So give me 1 second. Let me just grab... Okay, so what I've got myself here is just wax paper, but you could use parchment paper. I'm not going to need a lot, just tear a bit off. And then I'll pop that there. And then this time I'm going to put the wax paper over the top of the cardstock and then place the die on top of that. I'm just going to go through once. And can you see how that's just lifted out now? That just comes out so much easier. And I actually really like this little bit that you get left behind, especially if you do flowers. They look like vellum. It's really, really beautiful. So I keep... I shouldn't keep things like that, but I do keep things like that. So... Right, so my next one. So once you start using wax paper, it's like you can't not use it anymore. It just makes it so much easier. Okay, so let me just do... I don't know if I'm out of shot, sorry. Let's just do this one. Just place that in there. Did you notice on that one, I only run it through once? And I'll do the same for this one. Ping. That's because my plates, like, I don't know if you can tell, like, got a bit of a concave look going on there. So these have all come out nicely. I'm just moving them off because I am going to be using it again. And then I'm just going to give it a tap. And again, it just lifts out. It comes out like butter. It's fabulous. And then sometimes this bit, the wax paper, gets stuck inside the die, which is a good thing because it means you can then just go and reuse it again and again. So that's really good. So let me just, I'm just going to get that out. There was a little bit on the little line there. We don't need that. Okay, and now I just want to cut some from the funky foam. So I'm just going to do the same thing, just roughly. That's probably going to give me 2, and then this will give me 4, but I only need 3. So I'm gonna pop that in. Oops. And this comes out nice because it's a foam, so that comes out really nice. So you want to get rid of all your little bits, but don't stick them in your machine. Look, that's picking up. Oh my goodness. Look, it's got the heart and the arrow. I don't know if you can see that on camera. That's amazing. But it's not going to matter because it's going to be covered up by the card. So let me just pop that on there. But that's because my plate has been well used. So it's actually picked up the designs that were on there. Okay, let's just get rid of that. One more. Oh, sorry, I just hit the camera. I'm so sorry. Oh, probably gave you all a headache then. Sorry about that. Okay. And again, let's just, this comes out just lovely. I love using funky foam. It's such an old thing, isn't it? Funky foam. I remember selling it in the shop years ago. Okay, so let me just clear myself up a little bit. Right. Okay, so first things first, let's get all our little happies together. And then our words. They just come out. I love these three. They are just so beautiful. So beautiful. I love them. And we've got quite a few now. I can't remember what the first lot was that I did that had all these ultra highs in there. I don't know if it was Riviera I did. And that's got like mustards and, oh, that is just stunning. And a grey and a teal, and they're just beautiful together. And actually, when I think about it, my study that I've just decorated has actually got wallpaper on one of the walls that's got mustards and greys and teals in it. So I was a bit before my time when I did that. So I'm going to get that one back out again. I think it might even be discontinued from Wow, but you can always find them in places. That's why I wanted to try and remember the name, because you might still be able to get it as a trio, this one. Okay, so I'm just sticking that down. Okay, so I've got my three there. I'm going to adhere, she says, grabbing this to my card front. Just eyeball it. And then this is where you decide if you want them all in a completely straight line, or like with this one, I offset them. I think it's easy to do that because then you can't get in a mess with it. I do have a T-square ruler somewhere. I don't know where it is, but that's a good idea. If you want to get it in exactly a straight line, then I would suggest that. But I actually like, I think I like how I had it before. I like the lighter. Right, so the difference is, look at the difference with the amount of white that's come out on these ones. That's because I shook it really, really well before I used it. These ones, I didn't shake it so much, so the white had sunk to the bottom, because obviously the white is bigger chunks, it's heavier, so that sinks to the bottom. So when you pour it out, you're actually just getting little bits out. So you can actually make your powders look different depending on how you pour it, shake it, etc. But they look totally different. But I love them both. So let's just go in and then start. I think I need to refill this soon. Sticking this down. Now when it's foam, I will just take a piece of scrap and just push it down just to get it to adhere, because it's not so much that it's because it's foam, but also because it's on top of embossing, so dry embossing. So you've got raised bits. I'm just making sure I've got the card the right way around. Done that before. So you've got raised bits, so you've got to go sort of deeper in as such. Okay, so that's there. So then I'm just going to copy this as is. I've got a little bit here, and then I had a little block. Here's my trusty VersaFine. I just want to stamp that down. Perfect. Just place that over there. I want this to dry before I cut it. Okay, so little test is just go like that with your thumb. If you can't see any on there, it should be good to go. Love this little trimmer. So I'm just eyeballing it. Let's have a look. Yep, that's fine. And I do like to give it a little doodah. I could have trimmed that off, or I could use a knife. I could actually use these little grid lines to see. That's actually pretty straight. I'm really pleased with that. So I'm gonna need, now this is where I need my foam pads, and then just flip that over and just put that on a little angle like that. If there's a little bit sticking out, I'm just going to cut that little bit off. Oh, I could have done Happy Father's Day, couldn't I? Anyway, we got Happy Birthday. Just set that under the P. And then, oh, so for anyone who doesn't know, my little tip, she says, looking for a knife. Oh, do you know what? I used it just now. Oh, there it is. Okay, whenever I get new stamps, new things, anything that's in this packaging, it drives me mad trying to open this because it's all sticky. Then you pull it out, it all gets stuck to it. So now I just go in with a knife at the top, cut across the top, just go in, make sure it goes edge to edge, and then you can literally just go in and pull it out, and it's not getting stuck to anything. So that's my tip for you. Okay, so what should we do? We'll go light there. These are already self-adhesive, so you haven't got to think about that. Let's go. I don't know if I'm using the same colours that I used before. Offset that slightly. Look, I can still pick it up. and move it a little bit, so that's good. And then I think I'll go there. It's little things like this that just finish it off lovely. Okay, so there you go. Two exactly the same cards, but slightly different because I shook that powder. So if it's sitting there for ages, like I say, all this white, where I'm shaking it, it comes to the front. If it's like I store them all over in my little trolley over there. And then, so then I could start pouring that and I'll get mostly the powder and the glitter and not so much of the white. So it's great because you can get like a different effect each time. So it's really, really nice. So the other thing I was going to show you is just a couple of more cards. So this one is using the, oh, look, I've lost it. I am absolutely useless. There we go. Goodness me. Right, so that's using the outline. So I've done exactly the same. I just had, I braided a piece of scrap and then I cut that solid out. And then just using one in the white, just put the happy over the top. Okay. This is, did I write it down? Yes, it's Tailored Expressions Pierced Lattice Cutting Plate. That is, so it's a cutting die. Beautiful. And then again, finish with the little stars. So it's just lovely. And then this one, this is where I was thinking, right, how else can I use it? So this is just a piece of card that I'd done ages ago on a gel plate. So I often sit and play with a gel plate and then I just leave all the bits, I cut them up to card size and then I'm ready to go and I've got an instant background. But what I did different here, when I actually run it through, I run them through together so that I got the outline. So if you saw in a previous video where I'd used a pocket full of happiness, her dies, they've already got that in there. So this doesn't come like that, but you can do it because look, you can just place it on. You do want to keep these little bits that come out and then you just take a little while just to stick them down as well. But then you get that outline as well. So you've got the background, the solid, and then the outline, and it just all works. So I'll take photos of these and put them on so that you can see them a little bit closer. But yeah, that's it. So thank you very much for joining me and I will see you again soon. Thank you. Bye.